Hi everyone, welcome to Adobe Live. I'd like to first start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we stream and create from today and pay respects to elders past, present, and emerging. My name is Denise Chippendale, and I am delighted to be hosting round two with the lovely Joy Chiang. Welcome, Joy.
Thank you. Hi,
Uh,
everyone.
Hi, everyone. For all those tuning in on Behance and YouTube, pop in the chat where you're tuning in from because we love to see a global audience. And if you did miss out on yesterday's session, we did a fantastic session on creating surreal landscapes in Firefly. So definitely check it out because it was a really great one. But today, Joy, what are we going to be working on?
So I had a play last night with some of the assets we created directly from Firefly last night. I want to recreate a scene similar to this, but with a totally new background. But I created a first cut so I can show you the level of layers you can play with straight in Adobe Express and just different assets you can build in through the stock imagery, some free, some paid, but depending on your account, it's really up to you what you want to add. But you can use the same process and the same format with your own images that you export directly through Firefly, or you can have photos that you take or videos that you take because it's really easy to layer them with different effects, but also crop out parts with remove background. So
Yeah,
yeah.
awesome. This is exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, take it away.
Sure. So I don't know if you remember from yesterday, we created like a snowy, icy, moody landscape. And then I overlaid it with one of my physical paintings. And then we ended up getting these really cool textures. And that's where you're getting like the purples and the streakiness of some of the background layers. What I've done here is I started off with let me take out, I'll show you some of the layers that's gone into it. So this is one of them, which you can see how I cropped out the blobby. So I can kind of hide it behind something. Can you see?
Yeah.
And so initially I was going to so the easiest thing you can do is just overlay the water ripples like I did yesterday. If you have a really clear horizon line that you can just, pop in the video and you'll get a very clear cut and that's your job done. But if you wanted to add a bit more interest to kind of split it up so it doesn't look so stocky, I've cropped out another image that I actually used. So I actually use Firefly's Gen Fill to remove the whole thing. So I have a more seamless background. I think the one that I put in is slightly different. I kind of did a couple of different versions, but you can see that it's kind of created a fill for where the big loopy ice block thing is. So that way it's split. So when I remove background, I'm getting additional layers in the foreground, in the background, because oh, and then I then created another version where I removed the foreground of that Firefly image and got the base of that. And you don't have to have this extra bit, but I thought I wanted to show people how easy it is to do these. So then you have three images, even though they're slightly different. When you crop them, they're going to look quite seamless because you're using the same background as a base. And
Yeah.
that way, if I'm cropping out bits and pieces, when you layer it here, it doesn't look like it doesn't belong together. And especially with Express, it's kind of like my cheat, speedy version of animation if I'm just wanting to play around, because you'll get some edges that's not perfect, but no one's really going to know.
Okay.
And then,
You can get away with it.
yeah, like this one, for example, it's got a loop, but see how the edges aren't perfect?
Yeah.
But of the location, you can't really tell. Like these are just stock images I've popped in, and these clouds are actually just black and white photos that I found as a image file, and then I use the animation tool to move them. So once you have all the layers here, you can start animating them, and it just kind of gives you a bit of motion. I
Yeah.
think cool. Yeah, so if you had it in a real format, you can do whatever you like and put random things in or things that you want to collage together to create a whole new world or new surreal landscape. So let's get into it.
Awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah, so these were the ones that we got yesterday that I really love, like this type of color scheme. So I ended up mixing that one with this one, which I like the loop of because I think it just gives you extra thing to look at to give focus. And this bit I used as a structure reference with this background to get these ones. And that's how I got that the same. So you can kind of see which one. I'll probably use this one. You can see how it looks exactly the same layout wise, but it's got the mountains from this one. So it's really nice to play well with images you create to add additional depth, because the prompts you use by itself won't give you these really cool outputs. And like, I won't be able to describe them. I think the more you try to describe that, the further away you'll get from what you actually want. So, and plus I think with machine learning, because it's learning from image as well, give it extra information on top of the words to understand what you actually want. So maybe we'll try, I'm thinking we should try something like this. So I used another one of my references of like this silky texture. So it's rendering fluid, twisty, floating. My descriptions aren't very detailed. Sometimes it's very poetic. Today it is not. It's like abstract art.
Get straight to the point.
Yeah, I'm just very literal about the things that I want, like sculpture. ZBrush is like a 3D, like a VR set thing that you can use as a tool to paint. And sometimes you get these really cool flowy motions, and I just pop it in because it then links it with like a 3D render, and you'll get some kind of almost looks like a 3D environment, like the ones that you get in some of the 3D programs. And then it has that standout effect. So we can, do you feel like going the top left or the top right? Do you have a preference?
Oh, let's do top right.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah. And for all those who missed yesterday's session, we did go through references and styles in Firefly. So if you have missed that, definitely check it out because it is useful as we keep going and learning.
Cool. So the first one will be, I'll save a version of this original one, and then we're going to go into generative fill directly in Firefly. And this is the bit where we want maybe 2 or 3 different versions of this. So I will remove the water.
And why is that? Why do we need 2, 3?
You can, so the easiest thing is probably going straight into Express, and then I can crop out this quite easily. And actually, this is where I can, so with this one, the one that I use, like, this is pretty much that image. And then I've just added, well, I'm trying to remember which tab is what. I literally clicked through all of them if I found.
Yeah, it's like going into your brain so many times.
Yeah, it's this one. So this, if I undo it, you can see how this one looks almost like the image I used in Express.
Yeah.
Pop that straight in and remove the background to get the swirly bit out. And then I can put the water effect, which is fine. But I think if I want the option of having that loop closed, it pops out of the water a bit more. If I want to make it a bounce, then I don't want it to kind of cut off on the edges like a crop. So if you're already thinking ahead of your animation with something like that, while you're here, you might as well create some of these assets, and it only takes a couple of minutes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So let's have a look to see how it goes. So I pretty much just, ooh, that was
no pressure. We're all watching.
Okay. If I remove it, I'm not going to give it a prompt just to see. It might close the loop by itself. Yeah. Sometimes it goes a bit funny if I cancel it. Let's try again. You can keep the reflection as well. You don't have to go all the way, but I just like to go all the way in case it's using that information to think I want water and reflection.
Yeah.
But this way it might just give me a whole image with just the sky, which is what I'm hoping. Oh no. Oh. Okay. Refresh.
I love when you've done it so many times, and then when you're actually trying to showcase the picture.
Yes.
It's having a moment. It's Friday. Having a moment.
If it's the image or if it's... if not, I can just go straight into Express. And it will still be the same. But sometimes it's easier in this program because it's like doesn't have any other distractions, and you can kind of go straight
Right.
to the image. It's even got that fabric material up here.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, nice texture.
Yeah, like if you have a perfect circle of something like this, or if you're creating like a portal-y thing,
Yeah.
we can also mask out the inside so things can come out of it, or use it, or if you have like a door, for example, or something like that, you can get a really clean, crisp edge out of it.
Yeah.
So that's
And do you find that it's quite a crisp effect once you remove the background?
Yeah. So we can
That's
do
awesome.
this. Yeah. Sorry, Joe, I have to change the image to this one.
It's fine. Heartbroken, but what can you do?
So now I'm going to remove this one. Oh, I forgot to save this actually, the first image. But
And is that more for your references later on, or
just as a base layer? So it will be the one that I put right in the background. But by the time you layer on, a lot of the things you won't see. It's just that if you have any bits that you've missed, it might catch a corner, and then you don't have the feel for it.
And for all those watching live on Behance and YouTube, if you have any questions, just pop it in the chat and we can endeavor to answer them as we go.
Yeah, missed a bit. That's nice. Yeah, when I'm removing things in Firefly or Photoshop, I usually don't put a prompt. It should know, like it will detect something that's different to the background that you've selected. It'll just remove it like this.
That's awesome.
Quickly. Download.
Do you find it a lot easier in Firefly versus Photoshop, or what do you prefer?
No, Photoshop's probably the same.
Yeah.
But if I'm using something like this for Express, I won't need to open up the whole desktop app just for it. So now we upload our image. I'd go this one first and choose original aspect ratio. And then from this, if you give it a couple of minutes, it'll let you choose a remove background. Sometimes when you upload it and it's a really big file, you can't use remove background. It just takes a little while to digest.
Yeah, right.
I've just wait a little bit. So if I remove background, I reckon it'll give me this is pretty good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Very nice. All right. Our job is done. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, done. Yeah. Thanks for joining.
And then where's the closed loop? Let's do find the one with the reflection. Actually, I'll put the sky in the back, so that's right at the bottom. And then I'm going to upload the one with the reflection on top. Great. And then this one, we can decide if we want to use it later. I'll just put it at the base. Cool. But see how it's kind of not that... I think that's because of the original image. Like if I picked a really crisp one, but it doesn't really matter, because the cool thing is you almost want a bit of the water to go behind it, so that it's not so the reflection will look more realistic, because it doesn't stop at your sculpture or whatever the thing is. Okay, let's add some water. Go to videos.
And with when you're downloading from Firefly, are you changing the settings in terms of the download, like the size and whatnot, when you're moving it over to Express, or do you just it's the stock standard? It's just a stock standard,
but usually it's mostly the aspect ratio. I'm thinking about how I want the images. If I'm creating assets to layer on top of collages or import into another file, I'll think about the layout of it, and I also think about if I'm using a structure reference. Sometimes I like to sketch out a layer, like if we were creating something with a really specific landscape. So a cool thing that we can try next time is actually using an export that we got, like something like this. If I draw on top of it something else, it will place whatever I'm prompting into that space potentially.
Mhm.
If it's something very literal, like if I write, door or something coming out of this landscape, and then I draw the door on top of it, it will actually give me a door in that space, which is really cool.
That's
Yeah.
really cool. We have a question about generative fill.
Mhm.
Can it help restore a damaged photo? Have you used that function before?
I had a lovely client that I got to paint a really big canvas for, like a physical painting.
Yeah.
And a while back, she messaged me to um, actually, it wasn't restoring an old photo, but she had two photos, one of her dad before he passed, and then one of her brother with his family and his newborn. And she asked me if I could combine the two so that, he'd had a photo with her dad. And I thought that was, almost got teary thinking
That's
about
so
it. So
sweet. Oh my
yeah, so
God.
it's not so much restoring, but yeah, you definitely can. So I would use it like if it's just the edges or bits of details. Now in Photoshop, I'm not sure if it's Photoshop Beta or Photoshop, the current version, but you
Yeah.
can actually upscale some of the details once you get that section
That's
into something you like. So the quality will definitely match if it's original, high quality image. Yeah.
yeah, incredible. Oh
Mm.
yeah, that's quite emotional, isn't it? Just
Yeah.
the power of tech doing
Mm.
good.
Okay, so when I'm looking at the water, if like for example, this looks like a really nice caustic water ripple, but
Mm.
because that's like a bird's eye view, it won't look as realistic. But if I'm
Yeah.
going for something just like adding any type of movement and things are so abstract, it doesn't really matter. It just has to be fitting.
Mm.
So like the one before I use this, it has nothing, it doesn't really it looks like moving mountains almost.
Yeah.
But this one kind of looks cool because it's moving from left to right.
Mm.
It's
And when you're searching for an image, are you being really specific? Can you be specific and like aerial
yeah,
view water ripples? Like, does
yeah,
that help?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
great.
I think because we've got some yellow tones,
Mm,
and also always adjust the opacity a bit. This is kind of nice. So if it goes above this and you just put it behind it, like straight away, it's kind of like pretty.
that's so nice. I'm like,
Yeah.
done.
So if we go back here and we want to put in, so if we want to find some mountains, for example,
Yeah,
or dunes or something, these might not match that nicely
yeah.
because it's trying to, I don't know, you might not get a nice cut. I'll have a look there.
Mm,
You can kind of get a crisp bottom. You can, and then again, if you adjust opacity, multiply, gives it more depth to play
yeah,
with.
cool. Mm,
Like you don't have to use this, but this is a really easy way to kind of give it a different edge. And
yeah,
because you're using the same blend options, it will actually look quite nice if you get the colors matching nice. Like it doesn't have to be like a physical mountain, but another cool way is if you go into Firefly from that image we got before when we removed all of this, if you write like mountains here and use a prompt, I can then crop it really nicely to put it back in to the scene we just created in Express.
that's so cool.
So you're almost using this like a canvas to get more things.
Yeah.
I generate this to remove it first.
Hmm.
And this time I'm keeping the reflections because where I'm going to use it, if the reflections isn't there, doesn't really bother me. I'm most likely just going to, let's reimagine all of this.
Wow.
No, thank you. Maybe I will. Yeah, I think because it's found the reflections, it's like you want this on the top.
No.
No, thank you. It's too smart.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah. Nice. It's okay. So now if we insert this, maybe I can put mountains on the edges. And then we can compare it to the one we put into Express.
Yeah.
If you draw nicer triangles, sometimes it
It would
will
pick
give you
up.
better results. Yeah, I think I'm just, oh, that looks really
Oh,
nice.
that's awesome.
Yeah. But like it just, matches it perfectly. And
Yeah. And
giving you the shadows. Oh,
the fact you didn't even have to put color, like it's just picking that up.
yeah. Look at that. How beautiful. Okay, let's
Yeah.
go back in and see how that compares to this. We'll keep this because it's still a nice crop. So let's upload the one with the mountain. And then we'll wait a little bit to detect the background and remove it.
Do you play around with the mobile app a lot when you're doing this, or are you relying on the desktop?
Um, I play around on the mobile a lot if I'm putting my kids to bed and they're
Yeah.
like about to fall asleep next to me and I'm just getting certain playing around with different prompts.
Yeah.
But with animating, it doesn't lag when I'm layering. It lags when I want to preview the play.
Right.
If some of the stock videos are very high quality and I'm just using a bit of it, I think it's just a lot of information for it to process.
Ah, that makes sense because I was editing a reel in it on the mobile, and
Yeah.
there was quite a lag because they were quite high res.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I've been using the feature where it's timing it to the music, which is really
Oh,
cool. Such a cool
cool.
feature.
What?
Yeah.
On what?
Pardon?
In Express.
Yeah, in Express. Yeah. So
What?
you
You have to
yeah,
show me.
it
Because
was
I
really
just
cool.
learned how to do that in After Effects. And
After oh my gosh.
yeah, so this one I can almost reuse on the other side. Let's duplicate this and flip it. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then, or even in the foreground. No, doesn't look as nice. I think it's just around playing with the different composition.
Yeah.
See what you get.
We have a follow-up question about the
Mhm.
generative fill,
Mm.
and the comment of being a useful feature in Photoshop. The
Mm.
question is, do you think it works better than the content-aware fill feature?
Mm. Depends what you're using it for, I think. So with Photoshop, it's better if you wanted to understand more of your canvas. So if you have a lot of things going on, or it's a lot of stuff that you wanted to digest and then fill it with what you need. If it's a big area, it might be better. But with Firefly, so with one of my artworks, because I've layered so many different things with my paintings, with my 3D models, my Firefly stuff, some images I created separately, and animations I popped in. It's just got way too many things. So the results I get aren't as nice because it's trying to mix everything together, and
All
that's
the
not what I
different
want.
styles.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
sometimes
okay.
I just want like a photorealistic thing to put in the foreground of my canvas before I animate it. So I will do that directly in Firefly, but
Yeah.
I can give it the structure of it. Like I'll crop out a component of my big canvas of where I want to fill it. And then sometimes I even sketch out a rough layout. Like if I want a window of a specific
Oh,
dimension,
cool.
I tweak it already with like another window that's not going to go in there, but then I'll put in the style of a color scheme which will match, but then I'll be like hyper realistic photography or cinematic photo or something like that to get the result I want before I put it in. But that's
Yeah.
like a big workaround than if you just did general content aware
Content
fill.
aware.
Yeah, sometimes you
Yeah.
might get lucky and you get the results, but
Mm.
if you're after something really specific, it might be easier by giving it more
Firefly.
parameters in
Yeah.
Firefly. Yeah.
That's really useful about sketching, sort of that idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, didn't even think
Like
about.
when it first came out, I tried it with like my name. Like I just did a bubble cursive writing just to see how detailed it copies it. And it's like Joy Chiang with a G, like cursive writing, and it was so accurate.
Yeah,
And
that's
since
awesome.
then I've been
So,
like,
so lettering works in Firefly.
yeah, let me
That's
see.
awesome.
I'll have it on my Instagram. this. Can you see?
That's so cool.
I just did it in my sketchbook really quickly, and then like Joy Chiang art, and then I got
Wow.
like, yeah, you don't have to watch the ad, but yeah, I had like hundreds of these really quickly with all these like 3D
I'm
textures
gonna
on
check.
really
I'm gonna
good.
try it out. I really want to do that.
Yeah, yeah, you should. And you can do it like so it's balloons, or you can do it like any type of texture. But I went with like colorful, bright,
Yeah. Oh,
explosion-y.
that's so you.
Yeah, yeah, sorry. I had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this mountain looks nicer. I don't like
Yeah.
this mountain. Maybe I'll go back and add the other mountain on the other side, which looked nice already. So with this, because I removed the background and only detected the mountain on the left, I'm just going to use erase to get the mountain on the right.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, but I feel like sometimes it's a bit too sensitive. It's a bit,
Yeah. You're like,
it might not work because it's so faded.
mm,
It doesn't have a crisp edge. Okay, so now what I can do is like that's all I need because I've got the top bit that I like. I'm
yeah.
going to click done and just crop it out.
Love it.
Ta-da. That's it. And then because
That's
it's
cool.
going behind something, I don't think it matters if it's, yeah, as long as it fits. See, now it looks nice.
That's
Like it's
great.
supposed to be there. I might bring this mountain back just to see if it looks nice. Do you like it there with another mountain? Can't tell what design. You can always delete it at the end. So now let's use some stock photos or things that we can make it pop out. Actually, the sky. Let's do the sky.
And do you find when you're exporting it, like,
Mm-hmm.
do the file sizes get really large because you've got all the different layers?
It might take a little while, but
Yeah.
it's not too, like sometimes I just leave it exporting for a little while, but
Okay.
it's not too onerous on the computers, I don't think. So, let's see. Sometimes the clouds match nicely and sometimes it doesn't. I feel like this one might be too light, but
Mm,
yeah, it's a matter of playing around. Let's try a different one. It's a free one too. Yeah, and I usually crop it where I think the horizon would be, just to try and match.
match the lineup.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you can always go to effects to adjust it, like to give you a totally different hue. We can try and match the colors with the pickers.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I've done this with different videos to match. Like I really like the stock imagery, but I didn't match my background using these filters, so I'll use this to get a different color
And
altogether.
it's great that it does the recommended as well. Like such a
Mm.
yeah, saving
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Brilliant.
You can really play around however you want. Just gonna keep it like this, I think. Doesn't look too bad. Oh yeah, now it's all going left to right, which is quite nice. And I think that second layer of mountain actually breaks it up quite nicely. I might just reduce the opacity a little bit. Bring it down a bit. We don't lose too much of the clouds. Sometimes it's really easy to create your own clouds. I'll show you how you can do that.
Oh, yes, please.
So if you go to elements, honestly, it doesn't matter what shape you get. It doesn't have to be a cloud, but I'll start with a cloud so it's easy to see what's happening. So if I get this cloud, now it doesn't look that nice.
Yeah.
But if you adjust the opacity, similar, you blend. I then do the blur, and then all of a sudden it's like much better. Choose it down. I do a duplicate of it, so you can layer the opacity, so you kind of almost looks foggy. You flip it around. Yeah, so then when you animate these, like as they drift in, I don't know, slide in, drift, maybe drift, you can increase the duration so it's slower, and then you make it soft, and then it can drift out as well.
Oh,
so
wow.
you can increase the duration. So now you've got 8 seconds just out of those stock image. Like, it just
That's so cool. I didn't know you could change the duration. That's
yeah,
very handy.
yeah. So then if you bring that into the foreground, it almost looks like it's like kind of misty.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because the stock videos are like 20 seconds, I don't want them to be that long because
Right.
it'll take ages to export. Say we'll do 9 seconds, then the clouds will start drifting off almost immediately after it's there to kind of, because I think I set it at 4 seconds out.
So it's smart enough when you're pulling it and making it shorter as a whole.
Yeah,
The clouds will.
it'll 4 seconds in and then 4 seconds out. So
Yeah.
if you want it to almost disappear really straight away, you bring that even closer, and then it'll already be like, oh, it's time to go. And then yeah, and then I don't mind it staying for a little bit, just changes it. Yeah, so now you've got something that you like. You can keep the animation as is. If you duplicate them again, you can move them to like through the hole because it's already cropped out. So move this behind.
I'll change that. That's great.
Well, actually, put a bit in front of it. But if you wanted to come out behind this, like, you can put some in the foreground, some in the background. It's really up to you. So another cool thing is if you duplicate this, find this exact spot. If you move these, you can have some of it in the foreground. So this bit will be here, and then this cloud can go behind it, almost. Did I grab the right cloud? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So many clouds.
Sorry, you can't really see, but can you see how
it's behind?
Yeah, yeah. But that's if you really want something to jump out, or
yeah.
But that's just another cool way to quickly.
I'm just thinking about you in After Effects, like how long this would take you. And then coming in here, it's just like you can do it really quickly. It's just
the good
really
thing
impressive.
With After Effects is if I'm creating like some of these clouds, I can keep it as a composition and then reuse it later on.
True. Yeah.
But this too, you can. So if I want to if I want to go back here and I like I don't know what this one is. Is it the light? Yeah, these like starburst things. I can actually copy and paste it. It should work. And it's kept the same settings.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh.
Let's see if you'll do the light. On the top.
That's great that you can copy paste.
Yeah, can you see? It's like it's like popping off. Put it in the background, see if it.
Whoa.
Yeah. Let's see if it works with the plants. These are also just stock ones.
It is amazing how you're making stock imagery quite appealing.
Yeah. So these are. Try and put that behind there. Yeah, sometimes it's about finding that in between bit where it looks nice. So what I can do is I can just duplicate this. And then make it a bit smaller. It's all about illusion, my friend.
We
What?
have a question just in
Yeah.
general about
Mhm.
Adobe Express. Do you have like any tips or advice on, using it? Because it can be quite daunting learning a new program.
Um,
And so, a few of our attendees, rely heavily on Photoshop. So,
yeah.
yeah, do you have
Well,
any, yeah, advice on starting?
starting, I think I'm like if if you can use PowerPoint, you can use Express. And I'll just think of it like making a really pretty PowerPoint. I was just telling you before how like part of my job is making
I like
decks and
that.
stuff. So it's kind of I think I would also think about why you want to use Express. If it's
Yeah.
a time saving thing, think about what part you're trying to save time. So when I first started using Express, it wasn't for any design, it was to take out backgrounds really quickly without having to open Photoshop.
Wow.
So I literally
Okay.
come in, put in my photo, remove background, export transparency, and use that in something else. Or I do that with the video. So video was the key thing that got me into using this so quickly because I'd upload my own videos
Hmm.
and if I set it on a green screen, it just does it so much quicker. I don't have to key anything, I don't have to Chrome key anything. And it's just like pretty good. Like it'll do a pretty decent job if the edges are pretty nice. And it does it so much faster and I can do it on my
That's
mobile.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, and what about social media? Like,
Mm,
looking at the templates and all that. Like,
yeah.
do you have any
So
advice on sort of conquering that realm?
I think if you're new to the program, start with a template.
Yeah.
You might not like the background, you might not like the text. Pick something that you like one or two components of to begin with, and then change it to something you like. And then from that, it's just a matter of playing and layering and yeah, deciding what you like.
Yeah.
Mm,
So a lot of experimentation. I think that's just key in life. Learning different programs and
mhm.
tools. Just got to try it. Try it first.
Yeah. Okay, so with this one, like I added a ladder and I did the same cloud thing. So then it looks a bit random, but I thought like they're just things you can do. And this ladder originally was really ugly. So if I change the effect, it was like a wooden ladder.
Right.
Um, and then I just adjusted the opacity and put some clouds in front of it. So it semi blends because of the color matching. Um, and that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Apart from the removing background feature, what are
Mhm.
the other features that you love using?
It's probably the blend modes. I use that a lot to get
Mm,
things um, looking synchronized
yeah.
almost. Because sometimes with like clouds, I don't need like it's not the standout feature. It's just something that has some movement to bring a bit more interest to your artwork and gives it a bit more dynamic and depth to it. So I think using similar blend modes. And then the blur one is something that I use all the time because that focus lens play gives you additional, like if I brought this to the foreground, like an island here, and then
Mhm.
if I adjust the blur, it just makes it look so much nicer.
Yeah,
Like it gives you the foreground, the background, really quickly. Yeah, so this is just like layers of grass. And then like from the back, you can adjust the focus. Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah. Blur is something that I think people don't use as much, but it
I
makes
would I would I would kind of steer away from it. So yeah, it'd be great to check it out.
yeah. Yeah. And this one is just I just cropped out the background because remove background, and then I put in a yo-yo animation, like bounce with low speed. I feel like the stock standard is like too much, like
Yeah.
yeah.
Whoa.
But if you want something to like jump out and it's a really animated piece,
Mm,
it's cool because it's already got the easing in it. So for anyone who uses After Effects, any transition you do, you always have to put a default easy ease, like easy in, ease it out.
the
So then it
transition. Yeah.
yeah, like the animation graph just to
Mm,
smooth it down looks a bit more realistic. So the good thing about these animations, it's already added in. So when you see it bounce, it's not like up, down,
like
up,
doing,
down.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well,
actually got
that's
that
that's
flow.
brilliant.
Yeah, so it's really
I didn't
handy.
know that as well.
Yeah, no, I'd really reduce the intensity. And this one, I just reduced the opacity a bit. So I kind of wanted to make it look almost see-through. Yeah. Yeah. But
And
this
with
one looks like
do you animate text as well when you're creating, or like have you used
sometimes
it?
I don't have like many announcements or things.
Yeah.
I just like sharing artworks.
Yeah.
But if you have like business or you've got sales coming up or you've got something to share, it's really easy to add in text. So
Yeah.
do that. I can actually I did that with this one. I
Oh
just
yeah, that's
added
right.
the Adobe Live, and because the loop is already cropped out, it can go behind it,
That's cool.
which is cool. Yeah, and that's just exactly what I showed you before, where I had like one section of it solid. So it's a bit confusing because you're like
Yeah.
going in. So I probably just cropped it there. So there's this one section that's doubled in layer, and then the Adobe
And
goes
it's
behind.
going behind in that. Yeah.
Looks
Okay.
really cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
That's
it's so
cool.
simple. Yeah.
That's so cool. With the creation that you're creating at the moment, the landscape
hmm
one,
hmm
how easy is it to adjust, resize for social media for the people at home
Oh yes,
looking to do marketing on
yeah,
that?
we talked about this briefly. I
Hmm.
think if you're going to do it for social media, um, start with the biggest canvas that you know you're going to export in. So probably start with a portrait image
Yeah.
because then you've got your real composition. What I do, actually, that's a good prompt. So if I'm going back to an image I like,
Hmm.
I would start off expanding this in generative fill because the aspect ratios in Firefly is actually like for portrait, it's 3:4, which is not long enough,
Yeah.
and you won't be able to use generative expand in Express.
Okay.
So this is where I expand it first. Like obviously
Right.
you have an image that you already like, that's already
Hmm.
in portrait. I'd use Firefly to expand it first to something that will be like a real composition. I'd even go wider if you think you're going to export as a square, as the post, but that way at least you've got, something that you can use
Yeah.
with everything in it.
That's
And then
great.
you start this as your starting spot because I'll show you from here if I want to resize it. Um,
Is it going to
this,
crop? Is it going to crop
yeah,
it? Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Like a square is good because I can easily choose which part to crop.
Yes.
But with the reel, because it's such a big gap between what it is,
And what
you're
it needs to
thinking that,
become.
yeah, like if
Mm,
you crop it straight down, there's only such a small portion of it. You lose so much of the composition that you're like, oh, I wish I had done this in a portrait mode. So think about that at the start. But most
right.
social stuff you would do portrait these days anyway,
Yeah.
unless your target audience is on YouTube and the widescreen is what you prefer. I'm just doing widescreen because it's easier and cleaner for you guys to see
Yeah.
the content. Yeah.
Brilliant. That's so great. We have about 15 minutes left. So, yeah, what else are you wanting to show us?
I think that's pretty much it, but I can
Mm,
like keep adding things onto this. I'm just trying to
yeah.
think what else, other cool things we can add to it. But sometimes if you can't find the right stock image, use a photo. I mean stock footage, use a photo and then animate that. If it's just minor, like so if we want to put the boat, oh, boat.
Oh, it's picked it up though. Well,
Oh,
some
did
of them
it?
have. Yeah.
Number of times people have typed in bout. This is kind of cool. So if I remove background for this, yeah. I think this is a really high quality image. That's why it's taking longer to remove background.
Yeah.
Oh, so crisp. Look at that. Like if you have something you want to put in the foreground, it's
You gonna blur it?
yeah.
Trying to guess what you're
See
gonna
how
be
you know
creating.
default adjustments, blur a bit. Is that too much? But let's keep the originals. You have the different tones. And then if you use a bopping motion, it almost looks like it's the water. Reduce the speed, reducing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so if you had it further away, you can put some more water in front of it to blend it out. But yeah,
Right.
you honestly like can go nuts with whatever you want to add to it. But if I had more time, I'd probably create some more stuff for the foreground here, just so that this bottom edge isn't so crisp.
So just to cover it a little bit.
Yeah, but we did have this. If I brought this into the depends what you like. Like if we like the look of the full loop, now's the time that we can have a think which one we like. If we want this in the foreground, or if we want to keep the cut off version. Yeah, probably still this. I'd maybe make some more islands in the front, or yeah. And we can do that in Firefly. Hi.
I do love how just quickly you're doing it. You're not being so accurate, and it picks it up. It's very cool.
Yeah, you're always going to get better matching assets if you create them yourself in Firefly, but it's a time thing.
Yeah.
Like this doesn't look that nice, but this might be quite cool if I separate these, and you can give it some motion. But
That's all.
And I think my suggestion for people who are playing with Firefly the first time, when you're not getting the results you want, just tweak the effects, because that might be what's causing some issues. Like I'm going to get way better results if I had the original prompt and it gave me that image, whereas now it's being too
guessing. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so and it's probably not like I can give it more detail, but you're then wasting time trying to get the right thing to come out of it. Whereas you're better off getting a rough result that you like, and then doing like 5 test generations. It might be the 4th or the 5th one that you get one that you really like. So I think
could you show us quickly? Like,
yeah.
What do you mean? Thanks.
From this. Should we do maybe not a landscape this time? How about any suggestions?
Cityscape?
Cityscape, yeah.
Yep.
Let's do futurist.
Yeah. Urban.
I like to start with short prompts, because then I know what the stock standard image it's going to give us. Right. And sometimes might be enough. So it's going to go default to this vectory. It's kind of cool. If I do
pretty cool.
Yeah, and then the first thing I'll change it to photo just to see what the photo version will look like.
And what's that do for the people that missed yesterday?
Art content is kind of like more Illustrator, painterly digital art. Photo is more photorealistic. You get these, very different, like more clarity, I guess. Like
yeah. And you were using that feature a lot yesterday. Like you have always had it on photo?
I mostly have it in photo because of my style, the results I want. But if I'm doing more painterly textures, or if I'm putting in structure reference and style reference of something more realistic, and I want painterly textures, sometimes I'll put art. But it really depends on the result. Yeah. Right. I'll put this on widescreen, and before I add any prompt text, sometimes I like to play with the effects, because straight away I can tell what I like and don't like. So if I make it, I don't know, iridescent. And the cool thing that you can mix is something really random, like in materials. I might put like claymation, something that you wouldn't associate with what you're trying to create. Well, that's keep.
Like that.
Let's try clay. Or I'm like fur or yarn, like something that you wouldn't associate with the texture, and then you get some really
wow,
really random but interesting results. I think that's the best thing about AI, is like just experimenting stuff that, oh, this is so cute.
I love that.
Yeah, it's like really unexpected.
We have a few more minutes left, so probably to wrap. And where can everyone find you, Joy, while we wait for that to
I'm
generate?
just Joy Chiang art on all social platforms.
Awesome.
Let's put third in the foreground. Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, it's got iridescent, that's why. I wonder if we make it a fluffy city. That'll be cool.
I've got my weekend plans sorted now, just playing around.
Yeah, oh, you can also honestly spend so much more time.
I know it's just nuts, especially any Express as well.
Yeah,
Like
that's so cute. Oh, there's like Ugg boots on city.
city.
That's so warm. But yeah, if you pick something that yeah, sometimes I've mixed fur with landscapes, and
Yeah.
you get these really cool surreal. What's that movie? The Doctor Who, Little
Mm,
Who.
possibly.
Like the fluffy thing, the Laura.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I got something like that.
All right. Yeah, Dr. Zeus.
Yeah, Dr. Zeus.
Yeah,
That's it.
Zeus. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking
That
about.
was Flynn called that one out. So thanks, Flynn.
Yes.
We're both a bit like, oh,
Like, obviously, yeah, but that's pretty much it. So have fun and
awesome.
experiment.
Experiment. That's the game. Well, thank you so much for taking the time again. Round two. I love hanging out and having a chat. For everyone, just check out Joy's work on Instagram and follow, please. And then also keep up to date on behance.net/live for any new live streams coming your way. And we'll be here next week. So tune in. But thank you so much, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Joy. See you
Bye.
later.